go back to this. Everyone, welcome back to the shop. Hopefully audio is okay. I had problems with audio earlier, so I want to make sure that's all right. And we'll try and get this maybe a little bit more centered. So, and I'm actually even further off than I was. Good job. Maybe, I don't know. That's pretty close. This is so difficult. You're doing all this stuff by yourself. Come on, buddy. Okay. Sorry, that's where the mic's going to go. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Rough day yesterday, most of today. I had just some personal stuff. A friend of mine for 20 plus years, I found out, is in hospice. He's got a ton of cancer, started with melanoma and completely took over his organs and the rest of his body. And he's in really rough shape. So sort of at a reflection day, I did not go into the trunk of the limo and cut a hole next to a large source of fire. Sorry, was not into that today. So what I am into today is doing something really simple with you guys. And what looks like kind of a big wiring mess here. We have all this stuff like hanging out in the breeze. And we also, our new stopper control or popper controller, we need to get mounted to the board. So we're going to clean this up a little bit and make this look a little bit nicer. I know from your guys' side, it looks okay. Let me do this, and I'll just turn it kind of to the side like that so you guys can see. It's not very pretty. It works great, but again, these relays we're not going to be using. These are going to be spares because we're using the two relays that are inside this guy. This is our license plate up and down, our two relays, and we've got that wired, except for one wire here that comes from the car. That's the ignition off wire. And so we need to clean this up. I figured we'd do some cleanup today and get some of this looking halfway decent. It's also very simple. We will not, I don't think we'll be needing the crimps. I do think we'll be needing the wire strippers. Be needing our small screwdriver, but I have a different one. I have a different screwdriver. It doesn't matter. That one's still going to work. Solder and our super fine wire cutters. I keep forgetting the computer's over here, the camera's over here, and our nice, cheap, quick, easy soldering iron. I also have the drill. We're going to drill a couple of holes here quick, and I have the heat gun because we're going to be doing some heat shrink, especially on these guys. So first thing we want to do is mount this new popper controller. And you guys saw, I sent a message to the company about the difference in 2 seconds, where 2 seconds on the driver's side door is about 3 seconds on the passenger side door. I haven't heard back yet, so we'll see what they have to say. Maybe some kind of firmware update, or they have a different version or whatever. But let's start with mounting that controller. And as you can see on the paper, I'm just going to set this guy to the side for a sec. We have a nice grid. I just drew out a grid with some square wood dowels that I got. Square, I don't know if they're dowels. They're square wood pieces. I drew out a grid so that things could be level and even. And so we're going to use that grid. We're also going to use our power and ground from the previous installation. I cut those off because we can't use that controller anymore. And so we can start taking some of these wires out, which is what our little driver guy is for. Now the Philips version works better. Actually, maybe I can use this. Does he fit in there? I don't think he fits in there. He doesn't fit in there. Damn it. With the flathead version, you have to kind of... Maybe not. Okay. Yeah, there he is. Whoa, that wire just fell right out. He has to fall into the slot where the wire is being held in. So we're just going to set those guys aside. We're going to do the same up here. And we'll get this guy mounted. I probably should have started at the bottom and worked my way up, but that's how it goes. And electrical screwdrivers are very handy. They have a little swivel at the top, so you can swivel while you're putting pressure. They're kind of handy like that. Like I'm just putting pressure with the, palm of my hand here and turning the driver. This guy pops out and he's attached to the other red guy, so get all of these guys detached. And I also found out something really cool. I programmed the white controllers to work with this unit. So the white ones that say A and B actually work with this unit now, which is pretty cool. Same frequency and everything. You just have to go in and program them 1 and 2. Very simple to do. Clear out the old program in the new ones. So now we have the white remote with the white controller. So I had this set up nicely where, if I remember right, he was squared to that. So I'm just going to take my pen and I want to leave enough room here. Now these are going to be really thin wires that run here through here, so I don't need to worry too much about it. And I need thin wires down here, but I got plenty of room. So I want to leave room here in case we need to run another kind of component or whatever. And I'm just going to take a pen and draw a circle where those guys are and double check. We are happy with that, and that's where we drill. And I'm just drilling a pilot hole. If you're using a self-tapping screw, you don't have to do a pilot hole. Hey, Liz. Audio and video are clear. Cool, thanks. Normally you have a wood backing board, but you guys will get to see the drill bit come through. And again, this polyurethane doesn't take much to drill through it. Also, I'm on the wrong speed. Just for reference, if you're using very small drill bits like this guy, if you're using small drill bits, you want a higher speed. Using larger drill bits, you want a lower speed. So in this drill, you have 1 and 2. 2 is a much faster speed than 1. So if you're going to do some drilling, just remember smaller drill bits. I would say under 1/4 inch are high speed, and above 1/4 inch are and above 1/4 inch or low speed. So we're done with the drill, and now we can mount this. The other fun part is this: we have the 2 holes, the original mounting holes, that we'll fill in with hot glue. Once we take the cover off, we'll just fill those in with hot glue, or we can leave them. It doesn't actually hurt anything. So I took the original screws and replaced them. These are countersunk screws, and they fit in the countersunk holes a little bit better. So that is what we're going to use. Now, once you've done a pilot hole, the heat from screwing in is actually going to cut your threads for you and do your threads. So if you go quick enough, you should have enough heat generated. You can feel it in the screw. That'll actually sort of melt the plastic or form the plastic, whatever you want to call it. And see if I can get this lined up. Maybe. Now these are a little bit long, so they're going to have to be trimmed off in the back when we're done with everything. We'll make the back nice and smooth so that when you grab it, you're not getting the pokies. Nobody likes the pokies. Yeah, it was tough hearing about my friend. I spent about 2 hours on the phone with a mutual friend, and we kind of talked about stuff and you know, good times, bad times, all that shit. And then you know, learning that he doesn't want any visitors while he's in hospice is that's a tough one. That's a very hard one. I know from my mom and from dealing with her cancer that it was very, for me, it was incredibly difficult. And I think for her to have the support that she had around her, except for my stepdad and except for my Auntie Lynn, actually except for most people who I found out the truth about, it was nice for everyone to kind of be there. So it's odd for me to hear that he doesn't want anyone to visit him. He doesn't want anyone to see him. So that's kind of odd, especially my friend who has known him since like 7th grade. I mean, he's known him almost his whole life. So that was kind of weird. Still waiting for the call, Rockstar. Any day now. Any day. Ready for you guys. All the shirts, all the stuff. So I pulled the, where do we want the ground? We're going to have the ground come up to this guy. That's the nice part about having these bus bars. Is you have your choice. Do I want them on this side? Do I want them on this side? Which side? Do I want them in the center like this guy? This guy's the center component, so he gets the center ground. I don't know. I could probably switch him. There is no center with these 4, so I just put it to the closest one. I don't know. You can get seriously OCD with wiring. My friend Jonathan is an amazing wire guy. He does some incredible wiring, so he might be the one to ask about that. He gets OCD, but damn, does it look good. Holy crap, does it look good. So we're going to put this guy in place. He already has an eyelet and heat shrink on him. And we're not going to do heat shrink on the other end because we're going to have it soldered and the wires will be soldered together. They'll also be short enough where it's just going to be the shielding from the wire. That's going to be the only thing exposed. So we're going to tighten this guy down where he is vertical. And we can do the same thing on this side with our ground, which we'll try and get in the correct direction. Yeah, just a weird day. You know, I was at the beach this morning, and I'm you know, walking the beach. I'm thinking about it and just kind of life in general, mortality, and all that. And it's just hard. You would think that, you know, in a situation like that, you would want as many people next to you as possible, right? Just kind of weird. First one I want to do is the ground because he is the shorter and less complicated. And I'm going to make it as simple as possible. He's going to come around and he's going to go to the ground right here. That's it. And I don't really want a whole bunch of excess wire hanging out, getting in the way of the handle, getting caught on stuff. So I'm going to trim him, you know, as close to, you know, I'll try and keep the line smooth, and then I'm going to trim him as close as possible So probably, yeah, just nice radiuses right there and coming into the ground. So he's going to go right there. And that's where I'm going to cut him. And also, don't be afraid if you're doing this. You can make another one of these. So if you cut it too short, don't worry. You can make another one. Now for this, I'm going to be a little bit more precise, and I'm going to hold down on the clamp on this side, just so I can get a little cleaner cut, because I'm going to go very like super short on this. And I want to make sure he grabs. You guys can see, I don't know if you can see how short that is. It's probably just under 1/8 of an inch, but that's all I really need. And now we will fire up our soldering iron. And these things are great. They're cheap on Amazon. I don't want to say they're disposable, but if it breaks, it's not, a super nice Weller that you've had, handed down over generations. Weller makes probably the best soldering irons out there. So this guy's vibrated a little bit, and he's just an on off, and on, and we'll heat him up to 675. It's got some junk on there, so we're gonna take our solder and tin him up, and then we're gonna tin this wire too, and we might tin that mosquito. Get closer, mosquito buddy. Yeah, bite my nail, see what happens. Yeah, right around 500, 550, this thing tins up. So I'm going to clean the tip off here. Use a wet sponge. It's great for getting the solder off and cleaning the tip. This mosquito really wants, I don't know, what do you want? Do you want the water in the sponge? Okay. He doesn't like the soldering iron, but he definitely likes the water in the sponge. So just clean the tip up a little bit. And now we're just going to tin this. And because he's so short, I can probably do him a little bit longer, but he should be just fine like that. The only thing that's going to be exposed is the shielding on the wire. So a little bit of solder on the iron, and then just some solder on the wire itself. There we go. Set this guy to the side. Make sure you're not burning anyone or anything. And now we have a nice tinned wire, and there's a little flare at the end there. So that's the nice part about this, is we can just trim that little piece of solder off there. And if I wanted to, I could take more shielding off here, and it's still soldered on the end, which is great. So you don't need to go very far here. These guys don't have huge depth. The terminals don't. So you really only need about 1/8 of an inch. And when I'm tightening this, whoa, come back. He slipped right out right as I was tightening him down. Come back here. Little bastard. I have the antenna in the way, and I'm trying to be careful of the antenna. Because the last thing I want to do is break off the antenna. So, but I need to hold them in place. Okay. There we go. I can feel the screw grabbing him, I think. There we go. I'll show you guys how this looks. So there is, grab a pointy stick. There's our ground wire in the terminal. And the only thing exposed is a little bit of the shielding. It comes right up here and comes right to this. So nice, clean ground wire. Now, the other one is going to be a little bit more complicated. The red, we're going to do, and I'm going to run this under, but not right now. The red needs to come over, and we need 3 different attachment points on the red. So I basically need it to go here, and then a jumper from here to here, and then another jumper over to here. Now, DC is direct current, and so it flows, but it doesn't really care which way it flows, especially if you're doing it in series like this. It doesn't matter whether this connector gets 12 volts first, then this one, then that one. If this gets 12 and then this, it doesn't matter which way you get 12 volts to it. As long as that one wire has 12 volts, you'll be fine. It gets different with parallel. It gets different with, custom wiring, and it gets very different with AC. So for DC, for stuff we're doing in vehicles, this is kind of normal how to do this. So we're going to do a 1 wire to the, where do we go? The NO here. And then we're going to do a jumper from the NO here to the NO here. Then we're going to do another jumper from here to 12 volt source. So we're going to technically have 1 long wire and 2 jumpers. So I'm just going to set this up where I think we'll have enough wire to make it look, and this is hard to do. We want it to look nice, but it also needs to work nice. So we're going to cut a little bit long, and that way if we need to go shorter, we can. Now I'm going to save this piece because we're going to use it for the jumpers. And I'm going to trim off a very small end here, a little bit extra there. And give it a little twist. Now, if I run this how I want to run it, I'm actually going to come right to basically exactly where I want to go. So he's going to sit very much like that. Well, once he's gripped. Now I need to run a jumper over to the NO. So this guy is okay for now, but I'm not going to tin him. I'm going to wait until I get these other wires together to run that double jumper. So for this one, we're going to already add our jumper here. I'm going to do this from the side. Hopefully that's okay with you guys. And I just need a very short radius. I don't need it huge. So if I go right here, that should work. That should work pretty well. So I'm going to cut just on the outside of that. And we still have 1 jumper to go. So we can't solder this side either yet. Oh, okay. So there's our little jumper wire. And then now we need another jumper wire. We're going to set this guy to the side. And we need to go from NO here to 12 volt over here. And maybe if I do it this way, we can use that angle that's already built in there. And he needs to go right there. So I'm going to cut this just a teensy bit long here. And now we have all of our jumpers, and we can wire them together and solder them together. And then if we want, we can test them if we want. which is usually a pretty good idea. Usually. So yeah, twist these ends up, make them nice. So now we have this jumper goes here, and we're going to twist these together. And then we're going to solder them. Where'd my soldering iron go? He's still down there. And he's still at 675. I probably should have a light over here. Come on, buddy. There he goes. Ah! Became disconnected. Damn it. Hang on. This part sucks because now they're like super solid and they're hot. And they don't want to twist together. They were twisted. All right. Make this quick. Quick like bunny. Actually, we can just hold them because we have solder here. There we go. All right. And that's seriously, that's all it takes. It takes 2 seconds. And now I can tell I have a little stabby bit at the end there. So I'm going to cut him off. I really do need more light over here. It is super dark. Next one, we're going to do our other jumper. If I have the coordination to hold all of this together. When you're dealing with like super small wires, it's hard to get like a good twist on them. But we'll do the best we can with what we have. See, like that guy, they didn't want to twist at all. I should say they twisted, they didn't twist together. So there we go. That's better. Okay. I think we're pretty clean on solder here. So yep. Oh, get off there. And sometimes the solder hangs, and that sucks. You're like, no, no, no. Stop. So I'll try and clean that up a little bit. Got it? And then you get this big bulb at the end. And you're like, no, that's not what I want. And then you have to cut it off or whatever. All right. So we have a clean one there. And then we got to do this last one. So prop him up. Maybe. Somehow. And we'll get some solder on him. He is not a joint connector. So there we go. Oh, come on. It's because I'm going vertical and it has that little spear on the top. It's so funny. I'm trying to hold down the sponge with this. It's like, it doesn't work. All right. So we're basically done soldering right now. And yeah. So we can power this guy off. He's off and he's going to cool down. We'll set him out of the way. Make sure he doesn't burn anything, right? And now we have our jumper wire. And we have 12 volts that comes to here, goes to here, goes to here, and also goes to here. And I'm just going to give a little trim job here. Yeah, that's better. That's it. So now, try and get these guys, again, doing this in the dark, at night, upside down. Not easy. Okay. So there goes our first one. Oh, he clamps down almost immediately because he's kind of big. And then here comes our second one. I think he grabbed him. Yeah, I think he did. Oh, yeah. Okay. And then here comes our third one. There we go. I was like, he's in the slot. He should just go in there and stay there. The other thing you can do if your wires aren't twisted or set up in the direction you want, you can loosen that a little bit on, one or two of them and sort of help them flex and then crank them back down. Like that guy I just raised up off the board. So this will be upside down for you guys, but I'll show you. So you can see our 12 volt with the jumper all the way over to our main 12. So he comes down, I'll take him out of there. I'll run him underneath this. And then we have 12 volts that comes over to here and then over to here and then over to here. And there's no light over on this side. So I apologize, but we have everything set up now. We have our ground wire and we have super clean wiring in here. I'll just do this now. It only takes a second. I just wanted to make sure I had the length correct. And then one other thing to be cognizant of, now again, we're dealing with very low power here. If you have stuff that has higher power, be careful about crossing over wires and also coiling wires. You can create massive electro interference, and you can also create, accidentally, of course, a toroidal transformer, which I've seen many people do with extension cords. And it's like, hey, congratulations on, making it a different electrical component from another electrical component. So there we go. There's our wire. Wow, there is really crappy lighting here. But you can see our hot come down, go over to the jumper, and then to our main power. You can also see our ground come up to here. So we have super clean wiring there. This camera is just not very good at low light, or actually with differential light. It has a very difficult time. So there you go. There's our super clean wiring. And you can tell there's, stuff on the back here. We got to Dremel all this off. That's why I'm using this pad. It also helps keep everything in place. So there we go. That looks pretty good. I'm very happy with how that turned out. Should we test it out? All right. Plus, you guys haven't seen the other remotes work yet. And I'm sweating because I have a fan on in the background, but the limo is totally blocking the fan. The only place I get it is at my ankles. So we'll just use our old green connectors. And he goes to, wow. You think you've released that screw all the way. You actually haven't. You have not. So that's our number 2. That sounds weird. What did I do with the other green wire? Didn't I have it up here? There he goes. Thought I put him up here. This guy's even harder to see. Oh my God. All right. Going in blind. Okay. All right. So we have our two connectors. This is number one. This is number two. And we can test it out. You guys have seen the rig enough, I think. So we'll just give it a, oh my God. We'll just give it a test really quick. Make sure everybody's happy. This is our hot. Not hooked up yet. This is number driver. This is, I found my other screwdriver that I was looking for. This is our number passenger. And this is our number ground, which we will hook to right there. And okay, let's do this. And we have power. I have a little blue light going. And like I said, I got these remotes to work, these little guys. So let's see what we've got. And yeah, it's like 4 seconds. It's not 3 seconds. So that remote works. And that remote works. And that remote works. There we go. So everything works correctly. Now, when we do the connectors for the actual wiring for the door poppers, not just these little green guys, we will have a different setup. It will, because they're currently much larger wires. I believe they're 10 gauge wires, which is just insane to me. And we will have them trimmed down to look like a pin. So we're going to solder the shit out of them, and then we will trim it to where it barely fits inside the relay here. So we're gonna bulk it up, and then we'll kind of trim it to shape, and then yeah. The other option to do is to strip away wire and then go a couple of gauges down and solder that. That also works, and that way it still fits in here. So yeah, everything still fits and everything works great. Let's take care of these guys because we don't need them right now, but we're probably going to use them for other stuff in the future. And these are really nice. They're fused right here, so we don't have to have an extra fuse panel. And we probably want, we're probably going to want relays sometime in the future. Now, I've already heat shrunk the yellow because that's something that we don't normally use. So what I'm going to do, I don't need to trim these anymore. I guess I can. Now I'm debating this. I think I'm going to trim them pretty close to where this guy is. And you know what? I'm going to trim them. I'm going to do them individually too, because that way we can only use, if we want to, we can only use one. So Let's get these cut approximately the same length. We're going to go from our grid. Damn, that's thick ass wire. Our grid is going to be our cut scale. That way the wires come out pretty damn close to each other lengthways. Damn. These guys are 10 gauge or 12 gauge or whatever. Cut. Those guys are, oh, my white here. Okay, well, do the same thing on these. Cut them the same length. It's nice to have the pigtail, but I also don't need it floating around back there. So now these guys are all trimmed. We're just going to do a very simple black heat shrink on them. And I'm going to use the 4:1 again. And I'm just going to do it super tight. So this guy, see if I can get all 4 in here. Yeah, if I go 4:1 with that, and again, I'm just going to cut this in half. I don't need the whole thing. I just need it clean. Actually, I might. I'm trying to think if I do. Yeah, I'll cut it a little bit shorter, so we'll have some excess here. So I'm going to need 2 of these guys, and that'll just keep everything available, but super clean. So let me grab a pair of scissors. I don't need it incredibly long, but I also don't need it super short. So try to cut these guys the same length. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll do a little extra at the bottom so that it pinches everything closed and keeps all those connectors away from one another. And we'll just do a quick zap with the heat shrink or with the heat gun. So I apologize for the noise already. And they're about equal. And I'm going to put the label on the bottom underneath so you can't really see it. Yeah. That's me being weird. Again, you can go crazy OCD with wiring. So you can see that heat shrink coming down. Yeah, he definitely goes 4:1. I can't really bend him up now, but we have all those connectors. They're also out of the breeze. They're out of moisture, not totally out of moisture, but they're much better protected than before. So there we go. We have a nice clean board that's ready to be installed. Like I said, we have the 2 wires that we still have to do here. This ground goes right here. And then this guy attaches to key on. That's it. And this guy obviously attaches to power. And we have covers for these as well. I don't know where they are. I think they're in the extras box over there. But these will have covers on them, a red cover and a black cover. And we have a pretty clean power distribution center. And we have options for expansion. We weren't planning on that. We were going to use them for something else. We have a really cool relay system for doing the plate up and down. And we have a really cool door popper system with some super clean wiring. I got to send that to my buddy Jonathan. Hopefully I can impress him. It's very hard to impress that guy. Very hard. So I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. And again, I'll try and get into the trunk and cut that stuff. I will show you something funny. I'll give you a little preview and you guys can laugh at this. So I'm trying to figure out something to use for the radius. And I'm using this, which is from the kitchen. I think it's for the stove for, there's marks on here. I think someone was cutting pizza. But this radius actually works really well for the lower part of the trap door or access door. And so I'll be doing lines, vertical lines here, and then I'll be using this for the radius. So this came out to be the correct radius of what I needed for back there. And I can draw a much straighter line than I did by hand. So I don't know if this is a pie tin or a pizza tin or what, but it works really well, which is terrifying. But yeah, that's another tip. If you're trying to find a radius, find something that's like close, or just look around, like a soda can, or this, or I don't know. If you look around, you can find something that might match the radius or come closer. But usually it's like household stuff. I'm trying to think, like a roll of paper towels. You can use a roll of paper towels as a radius. Soda can, paper towels, water heater. You can use whatever you want as a radius. If it works, go with it. Yeah, it was kind of funny because I'm looking around and I'm trying to find stuff, and I'm like, all right, the wheel on the Grom is too big. All the rest of the stuff in here is like square or rectangular. And I'm like, what can I use? What can I use? I can't use a baseball hat. Yeah, all this stuff has weird radiuses. And so then I go in the kitchen and I'm like, paper plate. Well, the paper plate was too small. And I just go through the cabinets and there it is. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a big radius. Let's check that out. And it worked great. So I got to clean up the lines before I cut anyway. And also someone reminded me it's a holiday weekend. So I'm going to try to enjoy the holiday. I'm actually going to be cutting something very dangerous and very scary. And hopefully we'll be okay. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, whatever, if you have any suggestions on how to do something like this different, or how you did it on your setup, I would love to see it. If I mean, I love checking out other people's stuff. There's always, there's 20 different ways to paint a house. So if you show me a cool way, maybe I use that next time. And if I show you a cool way, maybe you use it next time. And that's part of the sharing and learning stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty jazzed about this. I like this guy. I might get some foam in here. Something once all the terminals are shut, do some foam in there just to protect them, because the last thing I need is like water splashing or corrosion or whatever. Maybe something, get a sponge and get it, trim a sponge so that it fits in there or something, just to protect it. That's me being weird. But yeah, if you guys see something that you like, let me know. If you see something different, let me know. I'd love to check it out. And I'll get you guys some pictures and some video of this thing fully installed and working correctly. Again, there's a bunch of wiring we still have to clean up in here. The door popper ground wires are the big thing. And I'm going to leave the 10 gauge for the main power, and then we'll just run those 10 gauges to this. I might step it down. I might step it down to 16 maybe, just to make it a little easier to get into those terminals. So I'll let you guys know what I decide to do with that. And we'll do the access door for the fuel sender unit. We'll do that, I guess, tomorrow. We've got all day tomorrow, right? So we'll maybe crack the garage door and hopefully not have to use the fire extinguishers. Keep a lot of water around. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, whatever, definitely throw them down there. Shoot me a message. Whatever you want to do, I'm good with that. And yeah, we'll keep trucking on this thing. And it's getting a lot closer. It's getting a lot better. And it's getting a lot closer. So if the car would quit fighting me, we'd be in good shape. So yeah, thanks again for hanging out tonight. I know it's late. I know it's holiday weekend. I hope everyone has a great night. And don't forget to show someone that you love them today. Give me a kiss on the cheek. Give me a kiss on the tip of their nose. Hold their hand. Give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, and it's far more important for you. All right. Thanks, everyone. And we will catch you. We'll catch you tomorrow. We'll cut some access door and hopefully not catch everything on fire. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you later. All right. Have a good night.